Bayern Munich are looking not as confident as they should be. As yes, they did beat Freiburg 2-1, which did extend the lead to 4 points at the top of the Bundesliga. They did. It wasn't convincing at all. Yes, Robert Lewandowski scored again, taking his tally to 21, but they just didn't look as lethal and as clinical as they have the last season. And they're just missing some cutting edge. And that was shown when they conceded from a corner uh, when Niels Peterson, a stalwart of the Freiburg team, came on to equalise for Freiburg. And then after that, Freiburg just continued to pile on the pressure on Bayern as well. And they were struggling until Thomas Muller scored the winner. But they have not looked as good as they should be doing. It may be because they've lost a player such as the quality of Thiago, who does help pull the strings from deep. But it's close to the exact same team as last season, and it'd be interesting what Hansi Flick does to try and stop them being so shaky in games, especially of this magnitude, in which a game you could argue is not entirely that big. As Freiburg are a small team. They just haven't looked as good. Why do you think? Why do you think they haven't looked as good as last year?
Yeah, as you said, I think Tago's leaving just has had a pretty big impact on the team. He brought a lot of order to the midfield and helped construct attacks for Bayern just very well. But overall, I would just say it's a confidence thing. Sometimes teams go through streaks of victories and they feel like if they're unbeatable and top of the world, and mentally that's just really important because everyone plays so much more energetically, everyone's so much more determined to not lose the ball, recover, just run faster, whatever. And now that they just had a few bad games, just their confidence is a little bit lower. They're a bit more scared, a little bit more nervous, and I think that's affecting their performances a little bit. So they'll really just want to chain together some convincing wins to get back into that mentality.
And I do think the pressure may be weighing on them a bit. The fact that they are the best team in Europe, as obviously in that run to the Champions League final, they had no as yes, they did become favourites probably around the time that they made it to Lisbon, but throughout the whole run, and especially in the league as well, they didn't seem to feel any sort of pressure, and they just played their game. I think it's also fatigue as well, as obviously the way they played, it's not maintainable for such a long season after such a short break from another long season and a intense few weeks of football. So I do think Bayern. I know they're the all conquering mighty Bayern, but I do think they may fall off soon. And but the thing is, there are no teams in the Bundesliga who are able to step up and take advantage of them falling off, as shown with other results.
Yeah, as we'll see later on, just the teams that have been trying to challenge, they all slipped up. All of the top teams that are really trying to wrestle the top spot from Bayern Munich, all of them slipped up. And I mean, this just goes to show again that to win a title, you just want to be consistent and just plug out results, and no matter what. Because even though, as you said, Bayern weren't on top of their game against Freiburg, they still somehow pulled out a win, and that's what matters. And I just like to ask you, right? What do you think is the main problem? What is making these other teams so inconsistent and incapable of just mounting a charge, just taking top spot and keeping it?
I think it's because of how even the Bundesliga actually is. Because if you look at it, any team can beat any team, apart from Bayern Munich, who are financially greater than every single team in there. Every single team has clearly, unless they're terrible, like Schalke, they have the ability to draw with anyone. You can have Hoffenheim, who are, I know that defeats my point that I just said about Bayern, but Hoffenheim, who are languishing just above the relegation zone. Earlier on in the season, they beat Bayern Munich 4-0. And then you have Dortmund continuing to draw against teams they are better than or lose to. I think with them, I think as well as how even the Bundesliga is, I do think it's a bit of a mentality thing as well. As Leipzig aren't used to being at the top of the league, they've always been the team chasing, and they won't ever really have that mentality to fight at the top for first if they don't have the experience of players who have fought for a Bundesliga title before in first place. The same with Dortmund, as yes, they have Mats Hummels, he's won a few. The rest of the team they've never won the Bundesliga before, and they've always been second best, and they don't have the mentality to be able to put through a consecutive run of results to help push them to top.